President stresses the need for cooperation in the Indian Ocean to curb drug smuggling. Sri Lankan Navy denies claims that it shot at Indian fishermen. Attorney General says the loss incurred through the treasury bond scam can be recovered. 8 persons remanded for hurling stones at the Pingiria police.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Aishara Pinto. Let's start off with a look at the stories in detail. President Maithripala Sirisena has called on countries in the Indian Ocean region to reach a common agreement on tackling the illicit drug racket. The President made this statement while addressing the Indian Ocean Rim Association Leaders Summit in Jakarta, Indonesia today.
The Indian Ocean Rim Association Leaders Summit commenced in Jakarta this morning with the aim of sustainable and balanced development of the member states in the Indian Ocean region. Heads of state and representatives of 21 countries of the Indian Ocean Rim Association are taking part in the summit. President Maithripala Sirisena was welcomed to the inaugural session of the summit at the Jakarta Convention Centre by his Indonesian counterpart, President Joko Widodo. Heads of state, including President Maithripala Sirisena, signed the Jakarta Concord promoting regional cooperation for a peaceful, stable and prosperous Indian Ocean to mark Sri Lanka's commitment to the aforementioned efforts.
The Indian Ocean region has become one of the fastest growing regional economies in the world. In this context, the IORA remains a logical forum for its member state in dealing with current issues and challenges in the region. While focusing on the economic advantages, it is also necessary to examine the dangers that set off from the oceans, such as maritime terrorism and piracy. Ladies and gentlemen, another very important matter I wish to bring to your attention is the trafficking of illicit drugs by sea, which has become a sort of industry. Although various counter-trafficking measures have been implemented, there is no satisfactory end result. Most of the illicit drugs are smuggled into the country from the sea beyond territorial waters. I suggest IORA to work out a stable legal order to confront this concern in conformity with the principles of the freedom of navigation.
Meanwhile, President Sirisena held discussions with several heads of state on the sidelines of the summit. President Sirisena held talks with South African President Jacob Zuma, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Vice President of India Mohammad Hamid Ansari and Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull.
The Sri Lankan Navy categorically denies claims that its personnel opened fire at Indian fishermen. Issuing a press release, the Navy said that no naval personnel has the authority to open fire at another vessel or personnel while aboard a Navy vessel without clearance from the Navy commander.
A group of fishermen from Rameshwaram, South India staged a protest against an alleged attack by the Sri Lankan Navy. Protesters charged the Sri Lankan Navy of opening fire on South Indian fishermen fishing between Kachatev and Dhanushkodi. Indian media reported that around 2,000 fishermen aboard 440 vessels were engaged in fishing at the time in question, and a 21-year-old fisherman was killed in the attack launched by a flotilla of small boats. We did not salvage anything. We left everything at sea. We only wanted to save our lives. We left the nets. 4 boats from the Navy came and they had weapons. Because we did not slow down, they bombed us. Fishermen from Thangachimadam in Rameshwaram who commenced the protest refused to accept the body of the deceased fisherman. In a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister K. Palaniswamy has requested that the Sri Lankan High Commissioner be summoned and a formal protest be lodged. The Tamil Nadu opposition leader as well as the state Congress leader have also issued statements against the attack. The Sri Lankan Navy has categorically denied claims made by certain media over an incident of a shooting. In a statement, the Sri Lankan Navy says that it is prepared to conduct an investigation in order to ascertain the authenticity of these claims. The Sri Lankan Navy says that it has deployed special patrols in the sea area around the Kachatev Island ahead of the Kachatev feast, which will take place from the 11th and 12th of this month. However, the Navy says it never resorts to use small boats for patrols in the northern seas. In its statement, the Sri Lankan Navy says it has received clear instructions to seize all trawler boats, and the practice followed is to hand over all arrested persons and seized fishermen to the fisheries authorities for legal processing. Footage of Indian trawlers breaching the maritime boundary and poaching in Sri Lankan waters were captured by Newsfirst on several occasions. Newsfirst proved that the Indian fishermen not only destroy the marine resources but also destroy the ocean floor and all in it. Local fishermen say that the bottom trawling method followed by the Indian fishermen is the core reason for the destruction of the ocean resources. Spontaneous raids by security forces also proved that the illegal smuggling trade of contraband, such as Kerala ganja, takes place under the guise of illegal fishing. We have instructed the Secretary of Defence and the Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy to conduct an investigation and provide us details regarding this. The government will probe the incident separately and take the respective measures. We must also look into the issues of our fishermen. We cannot allow anyone to poach in our waters.
Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of treasury bonds convened today as well.
THB Sarat Chandra, Superintendent and Registrar of the Department of Public Debt at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, appeared before the Commission today. Sarat Chandra was questioned by the representatives from the Attorney General's Department on bond auctions and direct placements made after he was appointed to the post of Superintendent of Public Debt in late 2015. THB Sarat Chandra is to be called before the Commission once again tomorrow. Meanwhile, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, was also seen at the premises of the Commission this evening.
The impugned treasury bond auction caused tensions to flare in Parliament today after opposition MPs raised questions regarding the statement made by the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance on the Gazette in question before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry.
The Ministry of Finance has published a newspaper advertisement relating to the Gazette dated 15 January 2015. Is this not in violation of the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance? What does the Minister have to say? It is wrong to speak in Parliament the matters that are raised in the Commission. It will be a negative impact on the entire investigation if the evidence given before the Commission is discussed in Parliament. This is not an issue of the Commission. The Finance Minister has deceived the nation.
We will finish that.
Persons providing evidence before the Presidential Commission are making open statements that certain matters were revealed to COPE. This is an insult to the legislature. This is a serious issue. At a time when there was ruckus about the treasury bond issue, there was a struggle to appoint a commission. I commend the President for fearlessly appointing a commission of inquiry. When considering the matters that are being exposed before this commission, the small group in the opposition have made it a serious issue. I continue to challenge former President and former Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Why is there a delay in going to courts? Why are persons like Bandulunganawardana and GL Pires responding to this? It's been 10 days and we are yet to receive word on this. The position of Finance Minister changed after the 8th of January 2015. If a period of a year is considered, it will be from January 2015 to December 31st, 2015. However, the Gazette is issued in November 2016. What happens to the whole of 2016? Those details are not included. From the 1st of January 2015 to the 8th of January 2015, bonds have not been issued. You could have issued it as the Minister of Finance from the 9th of January. then there will be no issue. I revealed that this was done via the superintendent of the central bank and not by the ministry.
But right now, the Attorney General, responding to a letter addressed by the General Secretary of Parliament on the controversial bond issue, says in the event of the government incurring any liability with regard to treasury bonds by result of a default or of direct participant, such participants shall be liable to be indemnified with the government with respect to liability.
The letter by the Attorney General was tabled in Parliament by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. The letter says a reasonable estimation of damages must be done before a court of law by the Auditor General's Department with the assistance of independent experts. Finally, the letter by the AG says filing a police complaint is a prerequisite for a criminal prosecution against any person or entity. The AG in his letter adds that the CBSL governor has already made a written complaint to the police, adding that the CID has been directed to expedite investigations and report its progress to the AG's department. The governor of the central bank has lodged the complaint that was required for this court case in the CID. Now the CID has to immediately take legal action against those responsible before recovering the money that was robbed. We request the government not to let anyone interfere with this and safeguard the ones accused, like how the IGP attempted to protect the Nilame through the minister in charge of the police. The minister in charge of the police and the former central bank governor are like family members of the Prime Minister. So when someone from the same family has to take legal actions against them, there may be a misuse of power. The 15,000 million rupees lost from the EPF should be recovered. The accounts of perpetual treasuries should be frozen. They now can prevent those responsible from investing the money elsewhere. The Voice Against Corruption movement is in the stance that the government should let the CID investigate, take legal action and arrest those who were involved in this issue.
The International Monetary Fund has cautioned Sri Lanka to be vigilant in monitoring inflation and accelerate delayed structural reforms in public financial management and loss-making state-owned enterprises.
An IMF mission led by Jayavuli, who was in the island since mid-February 2017 to discuss the progress of economic reforms program, has commended government efforts to increase revenue collection and automating revenue administration. The statement issued at the end of the mission says that stepping up revenue collection and automated revenue administration has helped the government meet fiscal targets. However, the IMF mission said net international reserves has fallen short of the target and progress on implementing structural benchmarks was somewhat uneven. The delay in privatizing loss-making Sri Lankan airlines and a pending fuel price formula expected by end 2016 has hampered the structural reform program of state-owned enterprises. Foreign reserves is a key performance criteria that Sri Lanka needs to meet to draw the next tranche of money from the IMF. The IMF mission statement said discussions will continue in Washington, D.C. during the spring meetings of the IMF and World Bank in April. IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde was scheduled to visit Sri Lanka this month, but media reports said her visit was delayed due to an unforeseen change in her schedule.
There are some stark differences in the manner in which tests are being conducted for Google Loon in countries around the world and in Sri Lanka. News First takes a look.
Scrutiny of the official website of Project Loon reveals that in the countries where Google is carrying out testing, it is being done in partnership with recognized telecommunications companies. The website states that Project Loon has conducted connectivity tests with Vodafone in New Zealand. Vodafone has been able to provide connectivity to over 3.7 million persons in the country. Telefonica is the mobile operator that has partnered with Google to carry out the Project Loon test in Brazil. Incidentally, Telefonica provides connectivity to 97.2 million subscribers in Brazil and in addition is a company which operates in over 21 countries. Operations in Australia are being conducted in partnership with Telstra, which has 17.4 million mobile subscribers and over 6.5 million fixed-line clients. In Indonesia, Project Loon has partnered with 3 mobile operators. Telkomsel provides connectivity to over 46% of the country. Indosat has over 68.5 million subscribers, while XL Axiata has over 40 million Indonesians using their services. While most countries around the world are carrying out testing for Google Loon with established communication service providers, in Sri Lanka, Project Loon has been linked with the Rama Corporation, which was registered on the 26th of June 2016. Interestingly, the Rama Corporation, which has only 2 directors, including P. Sivagananathan, does not even own any share in any state or privately owned telecommunication service providers. The Google Loon website further notes that they enter into agreements with mobile operator partners to use their licensed LTE spectrum. It notes that this will also ensure that there is no disruption to other services operating on similar frequencies. Incidentally, through the Rama Corporation, a request has been made to release the frequency of 700 MHz for Google Loon testing. While they have partnered with leading companies in the country around the world, they carry out these tests. In Sri Lanka, they are working with a company that was created just for this purpose, a company which has just 2 directors, namely Rama Corporation. The hidden agenda was to take control of the country's spectrum. However, this has been delayed to some extent. The subject minister held a press conference recently and lied to the nation. They said that we do not have to spend a single cent and that this was a pilot project. However, public funds were spent to bring the balloon to Sri Lanka and then send the balloon which crashed back. Therefore, an immediate investigation should be held. Sri Lanka has a TRC and several leading telecommunication providers. So when there is such a potential, why have they gone ahead with a company which was created for just this purpose? As a voice against corruption, we call on the government to launch an investigation. Do not lie to the people. Deliver on the promises that were made on telecommunication services. We are of the opinion that such projects should be launched together with the TRC and leading mobile operators in the country.
8 people arrested over charges of damaging police property and behaving in an unruly manner have been remanded until the 21st of this month. They were further remanded after being produced before the Hettipola Magistrates Court this afternoon.
24-year-old Thusita Viraj, a resident of Prasanna Gama Bingiria, met with an accident on the 5th of this month. Thusita, a motor mechanic by profession, met his untimely death while returning home from work on his motorcycle. The driver of the motor vehicle who was involved in the accident was arrested but subsequently released after being produced before court. Yesterday, residents of Bingiri arrived at the police to inquire as to how the driver of the motor car was released on bail when Thusita Viraj had already passed away.
එතකොට බීමත් හිටියා කියලා තියනවාද මෙයා? සියල්ලම තියෙනවා. අපි වෛද්‍යවරයාට දාලා තියෙනවා. බීමත් සියලුම දේවල් දාලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ගඳ වාහනය වෙනවද නැත්නම් බීමත් හිටියා කියලා ඔප්පු වෙනවද? බීමත් හිටියා කියලා වෛද්‍යවරයා ගහලා තියෙනවා. ඇයි අධිකරණයේ එසේතියදී මේ අපදුන්නේ? ඒක අපි විරුද්ධතාවය ප්‍රකාශ.
We have voiced our objection. Court can decide if he is to be remanded or granted bail. The case cannot be closed. The perpetrator will be punished within a span of 2 to 4 months. We have recorded all the evidence. We have forwarded all this to courts.
How could the 2 persons who are under the influence be released on bail even after they run over my child? All I ask is that justice be meted out. What is just in his act, sir?
මෙහෙම කරන්න සර්ට පුළුවන් නම් සර් ඉල්ලීමක් ගන්න අපි ඒ පුද්ගලයා අපි හොයලා දෙන්න. මෙතෙන් අපි පැය 24ක ඉඳලා අපි ගෙනලා දෙන්නම්. ඒකට
It is not possible to immediately locate the suspect. We are prepared to make the arrest. We have informed the other police stations as well.
මරණේ කෙතරදියක්ද එහෙම ඉතින් ඇපයක් දෙනවා කියන එක ඉතින් ඒක මහා විහිළුවක්.
Later, the group protested, blocking the Chila Kurunagla road and set tires ablaze. The protesters then began hurling stones at the police, prompting the police to take measures to disperse them. Eight people were taken into police custody for unruly behavior. 39 vehicles and motorcycles were taken into police custody, while the police also suffered losses in the clash.
Political commentator Farah Shaukat Ali elaborated the following on the action taken on the controversial bond scam.
In terms of the bond scam, there's plenty of evidence now as to what has happened and what went on. the Presidential Commission of Inquiry has been most helpful. It has also revealed further details on this bond matter. And what is now happening is that there is a concerted effort on the part of ministers to conceal facts and, in essence, to mislead the public at large. Arjuna Mahendran's involvement in this bond matter has been established beyond most reasonable doubt. The manner in which he made unprecedented visit to the actual floor of the dealing room has now been told time and time after again by different people, all under oath, including thus far to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Now that the news, so to speak, is tightening, we see a mad scramble by ministers to, in essence, cover up and save their friends. This is, of course, an utter breakdown of good governance. We as a country, we are totally saddened by this state of affairs and this ungodly hurry by ministers to save their friends at the expense of the people of this country. We must remember that the losses have been significantly large and that the rules and the established procedures, we have never ever before seen such a departure from procedure and from the rule of law. It is extremely sad, and it is about time that ministers actually start thinking about the people, especially the people who have elected them into this position, and disregard their friends and their crooked and rather roguish actions and get down to good governance, without which it is only a complete farce. We need to see a stop to the farce and a return to good governance, which is what they promised us in the first place.
The manner in which a police officer acted during a protest staged by relatives of missing persons in Jaffna last Saturday has been heavily criticised.
A group of relatives of missing persons had staged a protest opposite the office of the governor of the northern province last Saturday. DIG of Jaffna, GGSM Dharmaratna, speaking to Newsfirst, stated that police officers do not have the right to speak to the public using profane language. The DIG added that he would advise the relevant officer over the incident and that if a complaint is lodged over the incident, further investigations will be launched.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira and State Minister Dilan Pereira expressed these views following two discussions of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Journalists also raised questions regarding statements that the SLFP would extend their support to the UNP.
They are making the same accusations people once used to split the party. These types of statements are made by those who shout in the afternoon and go to the UNPers seeking assistance to solve their problems in the night. Who will benefit when the SLFP is destroyed? Such accusations are being made because of deals made by these individuals behind everyone's back. We have never sought assistance from Ranil Wickremesinghe or the UNP. We don't meet them in the afternoon or in the night. The name will be revealed soon because he has not given me a letter personally. He said that he would inform me in general and not personally, so I cannot say that. It was I who proposed to make Chamal Rajapaksa the Prime Minister of this country during an SLFP media briefing. So when Maithripala Sirisena becomes President during the next election, Chamal Rajapaksa should be the Prime Minister.
Residents affected by the explosion at the Salava army camp last year lament that they are yet to be compensated for damages caused to their property.
The most recent problem was securing finances to provide compensation to those affected by the explosion at the ammunition dump at the Salava army camp. The allocation was 1,830.7 million rupees. We have received 1,264 million rupees so far for the relief effort. We have carried out estimates and provided compensation worth 588.8 million rupees for 285 homes which were valued at more than 1 million rupees each. We provided compensation amounting to 122 million rupees to 1,728 houses valued at less than 1 million per house. A total sum of 72.2 million rupees has been granted by way of an allowance of 50,000 rupees to families whose houses were totally destroyed or not suitable to live in. 315 self-employed persons and trishaw owners who were affected have been provided a 10,000 rupee allowance, which has amounted to 3.5 million rupees. Have the people affected by the disaster been compensated? They had reduced the 50,000 rupees that was being provided to businessmen. We have got to know that the funds have been received by the GA's office. However, we are told that the AGA's office for this area has not received money as yet. People still haven't received money. No one has received money. They have not done anything for us to date. Those with property estimates above 1 million have already received compensation. Those with 20,000 rupees have not been compensated as yet. They have not provided any estimates for our clothes. We are not beggars. Those providing estimates for houses say that there is an issue for businesses. The government is yet to provide a solution for these issues. To date, there is a section that has not received a proper estimate for the damages caused to them. There is a section that have not received adequate compensation. Also, there is a section that have not received proper estimates for the damage caused to their vehicles. We are staying in places that do not have places for rent. We are still rebuilding our homes. 30,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees and 100,000 rupees. What can people do with this?
The case filed against the former president's chief of security for failing to declare assets was taken up today. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed 5 cases against the former president's chief of security, Neville Wanyarachi, for not declaring assets and liabilities for the period from 2010 to 2014. The case was taken up at the Colombo Magistrates Court and was postponed to the 25th of April for written objections to be filed.
And that's a wrap of the Primetime News. I'm Aishwarya Pinto.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.